Damascus is the main door of the 7 doors of Jerusalem, admired for her beauty. Located north of the Old Town, it has this name because it was the exit point for those who left to go to the city of Damascus, the capital of Syria. But much more important than the historical value or the aesthetics, the special meaning of this door will mark your life.
I want to be honest with myself, and this is my own theory of the conflicts between Gaza people and Israel. I've been in this country for a while. I study the people in this country. Aside from religion, I don't think we humans have any problem. All over the world, when you check today, it's either your culture or religion. But the most influential that is giving us problem today is religion. You understand? We Africans, we used to be pagan at a point. In fact, all over the world, the first religion ever is paganism. Pharaoh in Egypt was a pagan. Europeans were pagan. Africans were pagans. And what is pagan is a way.
The Forgotten Pantheon, the 5 most powerful African gods. In the dark recesses of the world, beyond time and memory, 5 ancient African gods once ruled, their power so vast that the skies trembled and mortals cowered in fear.
Of connecting to the supreme being. Even those who are called pagans are religious, because this is the way to connect to the supreme being. Back in the days, they would have thousands of gods. Believing in that object does not mean that they don't believe there is other supreme being, but they've been using those objects to connect to the being. When you look at the religion itself, starting from Genesis, Moses was used to connect to God. Moses and the children of Israel used Moses. Before the time of Moses, there has always been pagans. And in fact, the Israelites were pagans before their Jewish religion.
The religion began as a henotheistic offshoot of the Canaanite worship of El, along with his secondary epithet, Yahweh, which refers to El Yahweh Sabaoth, often translated as Lord of Hosts, which likely means El who creates the armies. El, who was the supreme god of the Mesopotamian Semites, later became the chief god of the Hebrew Bible. In Canaan he was known to be the father and the ruler of the divines, as well as the creator. The god of the Jews evolved gradually from the Canaanite El, who was the high god of the pantheon, to the Israelite El, who is likewise the chief god of the Hebrews. The essential qualities of the Canaanite El were retained in the god of the Hebrews, along with memories of the theogony of El and the gods. Over time, the Israelite group of Canaanites converged the sky gods El and his son Baal-Hadad, and El was conflated as Yahweh. Early on, the Israelites also worshipped Yahweh along with his wife Asherah, who was originally the consort of El in the Canaanite tradition. For a long time, scholars of the Hebrew Bible concluded that a major difference between the God of the Bible and the gods of other traditions was that so-called pagan gods had sexual lives and consorts, while Yahweh did not.
So now Moses is connected to God. At a point, Abraham and so on and so forth before the time of Jesus Christ. There must be an object that is used to connect to God. At a point, people begin to use prophets as a connection to God. But let's leave that aside. I've been to Jerusalem multiple times. I live in Israel, for those of you who don't know me.
الاسبوع الجاي يوم السبت كسكزاوها والله هي كلمه غريبه جدا كسكزاوها
I live in Israel and I live in Tel Aviv. I want to employ people who are outside Israel to come and visit this country and see for yourself. You understand? During the war, I see a lot of people who are against Israel for what happened in Gaza, and a lot of propaganda video that Israel is committing genocide and all that. Actually, I'm not trying to defend Israel, but I'm trying to tell you what I'm observing. You understand? The issue is this: Israel is trying to defend themselves against their own brothers.
I'm here in Gaza. I'm here in Gaza in the city of Khan Yunis. And during urban operations, many homes like this were destroyed in combat. And in many of those homes and in those houses, you had Qurans, the holy book of the Muslims. Now, unfortunately, due to those explosions, the Qurans fell on the floor, sometimes were ripped, and even unfortunately burned. And as a Jew, as a follower of Musa, of Moshe, of the Torah, people of the book, it's important to respect other peoples of the book. And I took it upon myself that every single time I found a Quran, to pick it up and to place it somewhere respectful. Because if it was flipped, and a Torah was found on the floor, or a Tanakh, or in any sort, a holy scripture of ours, I would want someone to respect us. And as the people of the book, the Yahud, the Bani Israel, the Jewish people, Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, it is our responsibility to bring light into this world and to respect all who are under one, Hashem, Allah.
And a lot of people did not study this life. We are not reading. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, Jewish people, they are European establishment. Israel is a European establishment. And I ask myself, where is Israel? Where are the Jews? They have always been connected to Israel. You never go to... Why? Oh my God, I don't know how to explain this. I'm tired of explaining to people. How did the Jewish people find themselves in Europe? That means you are not reading.
Although you hear so much about the Arab-Israeli conflict, there are many basic aspects that people don't know about, so I've summarized the essentials here. Now let's start at the beginning. Israel said yes. You might look at the situation and think to yourself, why not just split the land into two? A Jewish state where Jews live and an Arab state where Arabs live. Well, this is exactly what the UN said in 1947. The Jews said yes, and the Arabs said no and started a war. And by the way, the partition plan didn't specify a Palestinian state, but an Arab state. And I will say why in a minute. Now you might say, why should they share it? It is their land. The Jews stole it from them. And so here we come to point number 2. Israel wasn't established on stolen Arab soil. Unlike the first European settlers in North America and Australia, who took the land from the natives, the Jews bought all the land they settled on. Show me one case in which Jews took land that didn't belong to them before 1948. And by the way, I can give you many names of Jewish villages that had to be evacuated because of Arab violence in the 20s and the 30s. Hebron, Hartuv, Bnei Yehuda, Kfar HaShiloach. I will leave the complete list below. And by the way, another fact that people are not aware of is that Jews have always lived in the land of Israel. Even before the advent of Zionism, there were more Jews living in Jerusalem than Muslims. In 1870, there were 11,000 Jews and only 7,000 Muslims in Jerusalem. After the 1948 war, the Arab lost some land, but this is what happens when you start a war. You might lose. Look at the Germans. They started a war in 1939 and lost 25% of their territory. You don't hear about any Germans wanting to reclaim their lost territory from Poland. The State of Israel wasn't established as compensation for the Holocaust. Another misconception that many people have, including Israelis by the way, is that Israel was established as compensation for the Holocaust. The notion that the world was so shocked by the Holocaust that it gave the Jews a country is very naive. This is not how world politics work.
Jewish people has always left the land long time ago because of the conflicts in Israel. When you read Genesis, you are going to see that there has always been taking over Jerusalem. They take over Jerusalem. This one will take over Jerusalem. This one will come. This one will go. And there has always been problem upon problem in Jerusalem. They have to migrate all over the world. As I speak to you, there are Jewish living in Afghanistan. There are Jewish living in Morocco. There are Jews living in Egypt. There are Jews living in Jordan. There are Jordanian citizens. There are Egyptian citizens. And there are Afghanistan citizens. Jew. How did that get there? Because of the conflicts. Because of conflicts in their land. The country, Jerusalem or Israel, it's not empty. It wasn't empty. They were still Jews, but the problem is they are minorities. Between 7th to 15th century, Ottoman Empire took over Jerusalem. The Ottoman Empire took over Jerusalem. That was the time Islam came to. Empire took over Jerusalem. The Ottoman Empire took over Jerusalem. That was the time Islam came to Jerusalem, according to the history. I don't want to venture into who owns Jerusalem and who don't own Jerusalem. Both Palestinian and the Jew people are cousins. But they were pagans. They don't worship, they don't do Judaism back in the days. They were pagans. They are just on their own. Until Ottoman Empire brought Islam to them. Even before then, there has always been conflict in Jerusalem. Up till today, there is no happiness in Jerusalem. I swear to God, maybe I may be wrong, When I go to Jerusalem, I don't feel that happiness that everybody is feeling. When I go to Jerusalem, I just look, I just observe. Not, I've never seen where you see an Arab and Israel or Jew together, talk together, or a Jew going into the shop of the Arab. It has always been the visitors. Do you understand me? They have their communities, but within the center of Jerusalem, I go to sit at Damascus Gate.
الله يرزقك لو اي شيء حلفتك بالله تعطينا الله يبعث لك دموعك والله محتاج الخير تعبانك الله تعطينا
When I sit at Damascus Gate, I see how the Jewish and everybody is moving, the Christian, the Jew, the Arab. I mean, there's no connection. And that's because of religion. If we can leave religion aside, we're going to have peace in Jerusalem. Nobody wants to leave Jerusalem for each other. That's my point. That's where I'm going. This is my message. Will there ever be peace in Jerusalem?
Before 1948, Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived across Jerusalem side by side. In 1948, 6 square kilometers in the east, including the Old City, came under Jordanian control. Israel seized that land in 1967 and vastly expanded the city by annexing 28 Palestinian.
That's the question. Israel wants to use Jerusalem as capital. And of course, Jerusalem is their capital. And it has always been their capital according to the Bible. But the Arab want to use Jerusalem as capital. The Jewish people have connection to Jerusalem more than, can I say more than, at a certain point. According to the Bible that I know, the Old Testament, the Old Testament, Torah always speak about Jerusalem and the Jew. But this is the point. They do not believe that, they do not agree with the Zionists, who are the Jewish diaspora, whose their ancestors have left the land and migrate to other countries. Why coming back to reclaim the land of their ancestors? Now you are calling them the European Jew. It's just like me now. If I have kids, or all African people having kids in Israel today or in Europe, then maybe 400 years later, 1,000 years later, they say, oh, all the Africans should go back home. And then arriving in Africa, they say, hey, you don't belong here. That's just it. You know what I mean? So honestly, I want peace in Jerusalem. But for what I saw, you can all be seeing all this going up and down in the social media. The only one point is Jerusalem. All this war where they fight, my Jerusalem. They want Jerusalem as capital. But I'm going to say this before I go. According to the history that is on ground, why are Muslims claiming Jerusalem? I want to see a Muslim who is going to come and give me the study of Jerusalem How is Jerusalem connected to the Arab? Apart from they are cousins and they are pagans. At a point when Christianity came, they accepted Christianity than the Judaism. Pagan Christianity. Till today, the Christians in this country are Arabs. Christianity, I mean, why the Arab are claiming the center of Jerusalem where King Solomon built the temple? But they have been Judaism before Christianity and before Islam. Why is Islam that came as the last religion claiming the point of Jerusalem? I don't know. I'm just trying to see somebody that is going to convince me that the center of Jerusalem, where King Solomon's built the temple, where the Arab built their mosque right now, claiming. And going back to history, the Ottoman Empire, who are the Islam, when the Islam entered here, that was Ottoman Empire, turning everybody into Muslim. I need somebody to clarify me. Is this world just created that we are not going to have peace? Must they have the Jerusalem as their capital? Why don't the Arab claim other part of Jerusalem for capital? And let's have peace. I'll tell you this before I go. The world is not going to have peace. This is how we're going to be rolling. It's been like that for a long time. Aside religion, I think we're going to have a little bit peace. Even though we have other conflicts and around, but I don't know, religion is making things worse. And for what I see, and this is my own theory, we can only have peace when everybody becomes a Muslim. That is it. And we can never become a Muslim, all of us. If Islam was peaceful, me, I don't be Muslim. Yeah, do you know why? One mosque, everybody, any Muslim can go into any mosque to pray. That was the only thing that enticed me to Muslim. I love it. But I begin to see the force. I begin to read the Quran. I see the force. I see the hate. I told myself, no. Yeah, I used to follow people to the mosque, friends. Even though I don't like religion. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I was like, okay. And the Muslims are afraid of Muslims. They don't speak out. They support each other. Even if they don't speak out, when they buy somebody and say Allahu Akbar, everybody will say Allahu Akbar. You know? Well, I am for peace and I pray for peace in Jerusalem. See you on my next video. Peace.